Yes.
Your advertiser receive your free copy. Call 716-688-3882.
Serving Orchard Park, Lackawanna, Cheektowaga, Amherst, Buffalo.
He
We
said it
are
can't
the
go.
legendary Mix 1080 WUFO and Power 96.5.
Locally, nationally, it's Conversation with Jim Anderson. And now, your
It
host,
says you can't
Jim
go live.
Anderson. Turn off the TV.
Good morning, Buffalo. Good morning, Buffalo. Good morning, Buffalo. It's Conversations with Jim Anderson, but I am not Jim Anderson. My name is Austin Martin. I'm the co-host, but it's great to be here today. I'm going to let Jim get the mic because he is here with us. So,
Thank you, Austin, and thank you, listeners. And by the way, I'm going to tell you earlier, you can call in 716-837-1112. And because look, it's a unique guest. Been through some storms and still climbing that hill. And Sister said, the hill we climb. Well, today you can climb it with her. She's in studio. She is the candidate for the Maston Council District, none other than Challenger newspaper endorsed India Walton. And India, I just want to say welcome on both Austin and my behalf. And we both gonna rock with you today, but it is good to have you here. And back to you, Austin.
okay, I don't want to talk too much. I know you've done a lot, right? You've been a lot. You've been in the public eye. You've been, like you talked about in the newspaper, a very hot topic. So before we get into that, I want to give you a chance for the viewers who maybe are living under the rock or haven't seen, a chance to introduce yourself and what you kind of do and what you believe.
Sure. First, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here. My name is India Walton. I am a candidate for the Maston District Common Council seat that is being vacated by the current member, Ulysses Wingo. A lot of people, I think, are familiar with me from my 2020 run for Mayor of Buffalo, where I won the Democratic primary and unfortunately was defeated by a historical write-in campaign in November. But I'm back. And I think that aside from the race for mayor in 2021, most people know me just from my activism and advocacy. I'm a registered nurse by profession. I'm a mom of 4 wonderful sons, new homeowner in the Maston district. So I'm looking forward to working with folks to make sure that we get Maston back on the move. Maston district is and has long been the seat of Black political power in the city of Buffalo. But as we see development happening, as we're told of this renaissance, I see vacant lots. I see struggling business districts. I see homeowners who are unable to access equity in their homes and who need repairs. I see renters who are unprotected and living in substandard housing. So I really am up to the challenge. I am prepared. I'm more than ready to govern with and lead Maston into the future and make us be a model district for the rest of the city.
That's amazing. And I think, so to give a general understanding or general scope, could you generally outline what the Maston district is? I feel like some people may live in a district and not know that they do.
Yeah, that is a very complex question. So we recently went through a redistricting process that happens every 10 years, with population shifts. Basically, we're going to start at Glenwood and Main Street, and we're going to take that all the way down to about just beyond Amherst Street, in that direction. And then there are parts of, Olympic and down toward Kensington, Delavan Grider, that area, and then swing all the way back around to the Northland Beltline part of the city. So it's a very large district geographically.
So with that diversity in those many walks of life and those many different types of people, can you begin to talk about some of the changes that you want to make or just some of the things that you want to do in this position that you're running for the district?
Sure. I think that, Maston District is a microcosm of some of the things that we're seeing in the city of Buffalo at large, right? Like all of the districts all have an issue with housing. And one of my priorities is implementing proactive rental inspections, enforcing the rental registry so that we know who owns properties. As we see rents increase and we know that tenants are at increased risk of displacement, of eviction, we really want to be able to keep people in homes. And I think that one of the most important things that I'm thinking about that I haven't heard a lot of other candidates talk about is the Kensington project. Whether it's capped or filled, right? Notwithstanding, we're going to see property values increase pretty rapidly. So how do we protect current homeowners who are legacy homeowners who might be on fixed incomes? With the increase in property values comes increases in taxes, right? So like, how do we work with our state government to be able to grandfather in tax rates and assessment values for folks so that they're not losing their homes because the community around them is improving when that hadn't been the case for so many years?
Well, I have to tell you, you're right. You hit the topic for me when you talk about housing, because in all the comments I've been hearing, I haven't heard people talk about it. I heard people say streets. I heard people talk about taking field trips. I don't think people need field trips. The important thing now is housing, and housing is the number one.
Mm-hmm.
And in that area that is under the scope of those who are constantly calling, if you want to sell your house, don't care what condition, take it as is, it's heavily in that area. And if we don't look at that and the need to ensure affordable housing, we can forget the Massillon district as we once knew it and the betterment that it hopes for. As you look at housing, I guess I would ask what would be another issue in that area that is of concern? I know some people talk about needing businesses and stores, but what would be some of the other areas in the Massillon district that are important?
Yeah, we do need businesses. Maston District is without a full service grocer. We've seen some fresh grocers pop up from members of the Bangladeshi community, and that's great. But when we talk about a store like a Tops or a Wegmans that has a pharmacy and banking services and all of the things that we need in the community that are really missing in the Maston District, we don't have a full service grocery store. There's not a public library in the district. And these are things that are essential to a thriving community. I think another big major concern is the amount of vacant land, right? City-owned vacant land. And one thing that I have experience in is taking vacant land and turning it into permanently affordable housing by way of land trust. I want to be able to be a champion for community-driven development. And I just want to get one thing straight, because when I say affordable housing, people automatically default to low income, right? And say like, well, why are we concentrating poverty? Well, affordable housing is not what that means, right?
Exactly.
And having traveled to places like Vienna and seeing what social housing looks like, there are doctors and lawyers living in the same housing as service workers and taxi drivers, right? Affordable housing means that it should be affordable to all. No matter how much money you make, you shouldn't be spending more than a third of your monthly income on your housing costs. And I think that having a person with that mindset, where we're not allowing the market to determine what rental prices are or housing prices are, but actually looking into what the actual socioeconomic status of our community members are, right? In Maston District, the area median income is less than $30,000 a year. So when we're seeing housing values skyrocket and wages are not keeping up, we have a problem. People can't afford to even live where they want to these days. And you know, all the pomp and circumstance and the fluff around field trips and fresh air and you know, whatever, right? The feel good things. I am a person who wants to co-govern in a state of reality. What are the issues that people are facing each and every day? The struggle is real, and we have to acknowledge that. A single program is not going to fix this issue. It's going to take unity. It's going to take coalition building. It's going to take innovation and vision, and those are all things that I have a lot of experience with.
Austin, your generation, in all these elections, in all the districts, there are numbers of young folks like yourself who I'm sure hoped to acquire what we just talked about, house, as well as the we say livable wage, but a wage that will allow you to really be in the key of life is all I can think of. You know, more than being able to pay the rent. So what you're hearing so far about this, does any of that strike with your generation?
Absolutely. Kids are getting married later. We're having kids later
Mhm.
because the cost of living is getting to a point where it's getting difficult to make decisions. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you cannot pay for college working a regular job anymore. That's not gonna fly. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you can't just go two-way on a house and think it's cool anymore. So when prices are getting to this point where you're talking about where it's unlivable, as a young person looking at the future, how am I supposed to feel like I got a place in the future when I can't even afford a front door? I can't afford. I would like windows, but I don't know if I can afford that. Does that come with it? So the way prices are going, it definitely creates fear, and we recognize that the population is going up as well. So it's only going to get worse if we don't start curtailing and actually attacking this problem now as well big, but while it's still in its infancy in some regard. So definitely, because it gets worrisome. Especially when you talk about the economy as well.
Mhm.
It's getting very, very easy to make money with the internet, but it's also very, very hard to stand out and make a lot of money. It's hard to be successful, but it's good to get a buzz. It's real easy to be, viral, but I don't want to be viral. I want, like you said, a house, a home. I want a future. So definitely, and I think that hearing that is nice because what it feels like a lot of times in politics is we're going to leave you whatever's left. As a young person, we're going to do our best, enjoy what we can, and then we'll leave you the remnants, and you can clean up and figure out how to make sense of what we left you with. So hearing people actually trying to be proactive on these type of issues for people and the future that we're trying to create is very nice and very refreshing to hear because it creates peace in a very anxiety-filled world.
It's a call to action too for your generation in particular, in that you're at the voting age, and I think it's so important to remind your generation you got skin in the game. Every young person of your age in the Madison district got skin in the game, and quite honestly, I dare say those who are just a little lower and close to getting the voting age, you got skin in the game. Listen to who putting out a plan that you can work with as you look at your future, because you can become part of the chanting and urging of those who may not know. You can help them to know. Now, I'm just saying that the candidate, as you hear any candidate speak, listen to what they are saying, and then think about it as you think about the world you want to live in. India, I'm just glad you're a candidate out there. You're really keeping it alive about, hey, let's raise up the issue that really matter. All the Most of the talk I heard so far, I got to tell you, means well, sound kind of nice, but does not move the needle in the manner that it's meant. And I think not only is the endorsement by the challenger right on,
You got another call.
but you definitely are. I'm going to shut up because I could do a whole testimony on her by myself. But anyway, caller. Oh, okay. Caller, you can call in 716-837-1112, and we're back to India finally.
Yeah, I think that, politics is a numbers game, right? And a lot of folks that I talk to on doors in the community, especially younger people, are just like, my vote doesn't really count. We see in off-year elections where there's not a presidential race, turnout is very low. But the establishment is dependent upon that. And in looking at the numbers in past primaries, there have been candidates who've lost by 16 votes. All of us know 16 people. So I would just implore folks, to get out there and make your voice heard, because if nothing changes, nothing changes. And I think that the power structure, is not supporting me, but the people are. And the endorsement from the challenger is proof of that. The endorsement of former council member in Madison District, Antoine Thompson, former New York State Senator, is important. A former county legislator and chairwoman Betty Jean Grant is very important to me. And a lot of times, endorsements come through and it's just in word, but their endorsement is in deed. It is in good counsel. It is in advice. It is in helping plan and prepare me to govern and to lead Madison District into the future.
Indeed. We got a call coming in. Okay, we're gonna go right to the phone. Caller, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hello?
Hey, hello.
Hi.
Hello?
Good morning.
Yes, caller, you're on the air. We can hear you.
Go ahead and talk.
Hello?
Hello?
Oh, yes. I have a question. Now, in regards to the money that they gave through the government for homeowners to repair, for home repairs, they gave out the application at the library on Jefferson.
Mhm.
Now, once your application is, and it takes a long time, the contractors come out, da 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 da. Well, what happens? They might give you a certain percentage to get the repairs done. But as a homeowner, shouldn't you have the expectation of the work being at a standard, far as if you had to go and take out a loan, and shouldn't you have the right as a homeowner have the same expectation of quality work? Now, what happens if you're not happy when you feel like sometimes you got these the contractors they come in, they fast, they want to be in and out, but then the work is not. That is another concern, and I'm asking, I'm just trying to put some awareness out there that these are some issues you may run into. My house got paid, but when it came to the end, they went off and they had other properties on the street, and I'm waiting for them to come back. It's been the first week of May, and they still haven't gotten back to me. Now, I have a whole lot of patience. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the expectation of it. And then it's like they're moving a lot fast trying to get the work done, but you guys have been getting paid this amount of money, and it's with like rapidly, there's gonna be shabby work left behind, especially for the homeowners that don't have enough money to get these repairs done.
Let us caller.
Yeah.
I think we got you. Let us make a couple of comments.
Yeah, I think that your concern is valid. And I think for a long time, we've been led to believe that somehow on the east side, we should accept less. I think that the role of a common council person, besides legislating, and a lot of times we've heard people say, well, this isn't my job or that isn't my job, call 311 or, this department or that department. But you need someone who's going to be an advocate. No matter what the issue is, common council people have enough influence to be able to call up the news station or call a person in Department of Permits and Inspections and make sure that the work is done up to standard. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of is that when we were building houses in the Fruit Belt, the contractor that we were working with were saying that, vinyl siding was the way we had to go because that was the affordable option. And we said, no, we want to cement composite. We wanted the highest quality product on our homes, and now that has been a model for the same contractor in other projects and neighborhoods that they do. So being able to have someone who's going to be a fighter, who's going to be on the front lines, who's not going to shy away from holding people accountable is a good thing. And I look forward to working with you and homeowners and people like you to make sure that we're getting the best quality products in these projects that the city and county and state and federal government are sponsoring.
You got it.
Okay, that was another. We have another caller. Caller, you are on the air. Hello.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Anderson.
Hey, Dr. Doyle. Welcome.
Yes, and good morning to your guests.
Yes,
Hello?
it's India. I got India as our guest and
okay.
Austin as our co-host.
Yes, I have a question for Ms. Walton, but first I would like to make a quick announcement. Mr. Anderson, thank you for letting me announce my annual scholarship. And as a result, I am going to give scholarship money to six outstanding students.
Oh, wow.
And I want you to be my special guest.
Whoa.
On July the 8th at the Meriwether Library, I'm going to give money to these six students. Now, here's the question. Maybe I misunderstood Miss Walton. She had mentioned the public library. Miss Walton, I wanted to know what district is the Meriwether Library in?
Sure.
In the Maston, or what district is it in?
The Meriwether Library is currently in the Ellicott District, and that was a part of the last redistricting process that happened. And I don't know whether folks remember or not, but I was a part of the group of people who was trying to sound the alarm, and saying that our community was being done wrong, that our political power, our voting power was being diluted in the redistricting process. And I mean, you have some districts where there's a person who lives on the lower west side that's making decisions for people who live in Broadway Fillmore, right? And if the rules say that these are supposed to be communities of common interest, there's very little commonality in a person who's governing for people who are in a district with high vacancy, food insecurity, and lead issues and all of these things, who live in a very affluent neighborhood. So I mean, that ship has sailed. Now we'll wait 9 more years to get it right. But Meriwether has been taken out of Maston and is currently in the Ellicott District, and the Coles branch, which is over there on Delavan and Bailey, is also not in Maston District. I believe that's Lovejoy. So there's not a public library in Maston, but I look forward to working with our colleagues in county government to make sure that we get one.
Wow.
Okay, thank you very much. Goodbye.
What's it called? We have another.
Yep.
Hi, caller. You are on the air. We can hear you.
Caller, you're on.
You mentioned, good day, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Speak a little louder.
Good day, can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Good day.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, you mentioned housing as a major issue. Can you think about health, specifically as it pertains to environmental racism in our community, whether health could be also one of the major issues, and possibly a return to common sense councilmatic districts so people know what districts they're in, including the return to council members at large, so that if you run into a problem with your councilman of unresponsiveness, you have some other avenue to address the issues that you might have.
Thank you for your question. So when we talk about quality housing, right, like quality, healthy housing is the foundation of a healthy neighborhood. And when it comes to environmental racism, we have issues with lead, not only in the pipes and water, but also paint. The city used to have a policy of demolishing houses and burying them underground. Now we have toxic soil all across the city. Our city zoning codes used to allow for industrial uses in residential neighborhoods. So especially around the Delavan Grider area, we know that there are issues with contaminated soil. And, we can talk all day about the creation of the 33 and the air pollution that results from that. And the solution that's being put forward to make it into a tunnel does not address the environmental impacts of that amount of carbon emissions that are coming from vehicles zipping in and out, through our community each and every day. We need to be putting people in positions who are paying attention to the condition of our air, our water, our soil, and our housing. And that's definitely something that I'm keenly aware of and have worked for a long time on. And, even legislatively, with the Climate Community Leadership Protection Act, there's funding for greening infrastructure and providing quality jobs for folks. And we have to make sure that those dollars make it into the communities that were most impacted. And a lot of the negative impact has been in Maston District. And to your second question about at-large seats, with the population increase, we definitely need at-large seats. And there's a broader conversation that has to happen about, the time when the initiative was put on the ballot to rid ourselves of at-large seats. It was a time when our Common Council was at its most diverse. So again, it was a concerted effort to dilute the political power of Black communities, and this is the condition of our community is a lot of a result of those moves. I do believe that the council president should be elected by the people and not the council. I mean, our council president is not running for re-election, and word on the street is that, the councilman from South Buffalo, if the elections go the way that the power elite want it to go, we'll have enough votes to become the next council president. So, we'll have, our congressperson, our state senator, and our common council president all being out of South Buffalo. And we know how it goes when South Buffalo runs the city. No shade to folks who live in South Buffalo, but that means that resources are going to continue to be siphoned off. We don't have pools opening in our communities this summer, but I bet you they have a pool in South Buffalo, street lights, safety, and all the things that we want for ourselves have not been prioritized in this community. So we have to make sure that we are putting someone in this seat that is going to fight for Maston, and who's going to set an example of what it looks like to stand up to the status quo and make sure that our people get the resources that we need and that we deserve. We earned it. So, I want to go into City Hall in January, and I want to demand that they cash the check that they wrote. We've been working all of this time, and we've not seen the fruits of our labor in an equitable way. I'm not talking about equality or fairness. I'm talking about equity. We're starting so far behind where we are in communities that have been redlined, decimated. We can't even get decent tree cover. So there has to be someone who is going to tackle these issues head on, who's going to be bold and visionary and stand up to the power structure and make sure that I deliver for the people of Maston District and set an example for districts all across Buffalo who represent brown and Black people in the city.
We're talking with India Walton, candidate for the Maston District Council seat. And you can join her, 716-837-1112. And right now, we're going back to the phones. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Jim. Good morning, India.
Good morning.
Yes,
How are you
indeed.
doing?
Marvelous.
It's because I had a hard time getting on. I kept hanging up, so and I finally get on. But for 53 years, I've lived in the University District. This year, however, last year they redistricted, reapportioned, and I'm now in the Master District, so I have a personal interest in making sure that my representation in the Master District is good. As I moved into my house about 50 years ago, there were younger homeowners, including myself, who moved to the university because there was an opportunity to become homeowners. However, over the period of over 50 years, those young homeowners have grown old, they're senior citizens, such as I, and they don't have the resources. They're retired, many of them retire on Social Security and with no income. So they don't have the resources to rehabilitate their homes. When their points start to climb, their steps become dilapidated, and when their roofs start to leak, they don't have that resources, the money to fire themselves, so they have to rely on City Hall grant or City Hall loan. It is very difficult for many people that I know in the University District, because I've been helping them even as they're out of office as the University District Council member since 2003. It's very difficult for them to be put on the list, so-called, because there is preferential treatment in City Hall as it stands right now. I'm going to be very blunt and very open and very upfront. If you don't know anybody, if you do not have a relationship with anybody, or not related to anybody in City Hall in that particular form, you have the most difficult time of getting your housing loan up to the front. Even you apply before many who have been accepted and approved, and their needs to take care of, you still on a list. I have one lady been on a list for 7 years. because he's not inferior to those who govern as it stands right now. My question to you is, what will you do for those senior citizens, homeowners, and retirees that decide, I was the government at high level of, until I got government was $64,000. So I was in government to get rich. I was not in government to drain the system. But I am what I call a moderate income homeowner. And so what will you do for those of us who don't have the resources to do the rehabilitation to housing code violations?
Excuse me, I need to hold you right there. We got to go to a break, a must break. If you stay with us, we'll be right back, and India will have you be ready with you. Okay, we'll be back, y'all.
At the United States Postal Service, we're reinventing our network to help keep your business moving. With new shipping
Man,
options,
I love it. When people hurting, they don't pitch out that concern about it. They don't pitch it to candidates that they don't have some sense that I could trust them. I mean, they'll listen. They might throw it in a curb way, but I was hearing the emotions in it. It's almost like talking third person, because when you're hurting, you're not ducking from it, but you kind of want to talk and kind of set the hurt aside some way. I just felt like there was some relief going on there, and I just felt like it also pointed to something that you not only said, but that you do. You call it like you see it. You don't go in there and pretend the emperor don't have no clothes, and you don't go in there with no for sale sign. And we've been needing more candidates like that, and there are others like that. But honestly, you've been on the front ever since you ran for the mayoral position, and even before you ran, in the midst of what it took in the streets and in the community, you've been there. So they're not dealing with someone who just got up like something going to a parade. That no, these demonstrations are not parades. They're action, they're demonstration of, if we stand together to show our power and then push it, we can make things happen. And people hearing it, they see the oncoming tide, and they'll try and rush and do a little something that kind of similar to what you're doing, but you can see it. It ain't it. It ain't the real lemonade. I'm hyped. I get hyped. Hey, we're back. You're listening to Conversation with Jim Anderson and Austin Martin. And we were in the midst of our caller and our guests engaged around housing. We'll go right back to it. I'm shutting up. Caller, you're still with us, right?
Yes, I feel it. I just want to put up front, I want to be transparent.
Okay.
People think that I'm not. I am totally 100% behind Eddie Walton being my council member of Madison District, because I think he has demonstrated over a period of decades how good he is Buffalo. He shown when he was the housing executive director of the Housing Coalition, the task force, whatever that organization called, how she works to make sure that homeowners and those who want to become homeowners are taken care of. She's making sure that when they're thinking about themselves to build homes or houses that city owns, they get people in the community get their chance. So I voted for her and voted for the mayor because of those reasons. The independence, the knowledge, the experience, and the willingness to say this is not right, and go ahead and make change come about. So I want to transfer. I'm supporting her for Madison District Council member, as I supported her for mayor, because I really believe she's not going to tell you one thing and do another. What she said she's going to do is what she's going to do. And I told her yesterday, she reminded me when I started politics over 30 years ago. She reminded me of being independent, working with RT and others who saw in me what he thought was great, who really saw in me to left. So Indian comes from that line of people who are courageous, independent, and I mentioned Douglas Ray maybe to left. I'll find India Walton mentors, because showed up good on, they didn't let it up great. Stooping down and have India stand on my shoulders so we can get her through. It's not being a Madison District Council member. So I'm supporting her, I endorse her, and I hope that she wins the election, because I know I would be in a better position when she does that. She's absolutely right. We don't have one. We only one part of the city. One part of the city have all the elected officials, the Senate race, the Congress race, and races that impact people on the east side, well, everywhere else. So we have never had representation in the Tennessee, which is Mississippi, to be clear, from Antoine Thompson. So that's why the city of Buffalo has had representation from the east side in that seat, as well as Congress. So I'm looking forward to that Councilman Ray, who is willing to fight for us, who loves black people unashamedly, and who don't wait for election or chances win to get in office. I'm going to say this. When we had the George Floyd demonstration, Black Lives Matter demonstration about Buffalo, I marched with a cane because I had a problem with my hip. Who marched with me, who was standing beside me, behind me, in front of me, was Cindy Walton. Of all the officials running for office today, all of them, in any district that you can name, I think there was one person who stood out there and there was rallying and there was a protest line for Cindy Walton. So she was showing to me that she thinks like me, she reacts like me, and she loves the people as much as I do. And I'm not going to apologize for that. That's one of the reasons why I'm supporting her. Now she can answer my question. What do we look forward to on the Indian Wall very massive district campaign that's going to have the homeowners and those who wish to be homeowners in the city of Buffalo, particularly in the Madison district?
Thank you. I appreciate your support, Mrs. Grant, and I appreciate your mentorship. And, you know, for me, I think one of the things that you mentioned is that in order to move things forward, you kind of have to know someone. And I'm a person who I've said multiple times, I have no permanent friends and no permanent enemies. We have permanent issues. To me, every single person in this community, particularly in Madison District, is a person that I care deeply about. So when you come to me and you need help, I'm going to be there. I'm going to do everything that I can within my power. The other thing is that we're leaving lots of money on the table. In my organizing history, you know, I used to be a part of the Buffalo Niagara Community Reinvestment Coalition, where we were attempting to hold banks accountable. We know that not only has our community been redlined, but our community has been robbed of the value of our homes. So there is room for us to go to these banks. You know, aside from grant money and federal HUD dollars and state dollars that are available for repairs, but to go to the banks and say, hey, pony up. Our homeowners need assistance. And I think that having a person with an organizing background who was proactive, who's been thinking for many years about ways that we close the gap and allow people to get the equity out of their homes and make these repairs is an important thing. That I'm not just sitting back waiting for something to happen so that I can react to it, but there are solid plans that I've worked with people from all over the nation and world about how they deal with housing and housing conditions. In Buffalo, we have some of the oldest housing stock in the nation, and we have to course correct. We have to do it in a proactive way, and we have to do it in a way that's unbiased. And I think that the fact that I don't take contributions from big developers and corporations means that I'm untainted, right? Like my support comes from the people. That's who I serve. That's who I'm going to be accountable to. And we're going to make sure that we get resources out the door. A lot of this comes to the money being there, but the organizations that we charge with distributing it are under-resourced too. You know, they don't have enough capacity, enough staff to be able to process applications in a timely manner. So just being able to scale up, staff up, increase the capacity of the current organizations, make sure that we have, you know, our Black contractors being MWBE certified, licensed, bonded, and insured to be able to do the work. There's lots of ways that we can do that, but it takes all of us. It's going to take partnerships. It's going to take coalition building. It's going to take some honesty and transparency to make sure that we're getting resources into neighborhoods at the ground level and to individual homeowners like we need to.
I want to say that as we work to carry a horse, as we demonstrate every march and protest, Carol Hunt to tell you who was there. I was there from the very start. And along the line, along the years, I've seen you join Carol Hunt, helping to get attention when she was literally fired and attacked for doing the right thing, but saving a person's life. So my support for you goes beyond what you think you're going to do. My support for you goes to what you said to us. Because when Carol Hunt demonstrated march, I was there and you was there. And that's what I do. Proof of person is what they have done before they get to see, not what the city going to do. Because 9 times, well, maybe 8 times out of 10, what the city wants to do, sometimes does not happen. So I want to say, I'm going to work with you, support you, and and I say this committee was better served, not just this Madison district, but the whole city of Buffalo. We better served when you become our Madison district council member.
Thank you so much.
And I thank you for listening to the rest of the show.
Thanks, sis.
Thank you, thank you. We have another caller. Caller, you are on the air. Hello?
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. You're on the air.
Okay. This is you, Renee calling.
Go ahead, Eula. You got it, babe.
Oh, okay, I wanted to make sure when you were talking. I was at your beautiful fundraiser on yesterday, very well coordinated, and I enjoyed myself. I am in your district area. I don't be up in your face, all the time. I do greet you and stuff, but I do have you under watch. And in my watching you, you appear to me as a bright, intelligent, beautiful young lady. And I do hope that you and I feel very strongly that you're going to win this race. We all win it wrong in New Orleans. We won that, okay? We're not going to get into it, but anyway, I feel very strongly that you're going to win this year county council race for the Madison district. I feel that you are going to do what you say. I've heard your platform, but also I'd like to say to the public that not only your district, but all the districts need attention. And that attention needs to come from the residents and people in trying to beautify this Buffalo area. We do not have to grow drum wrappers of McDonald's, Burger King, trash out of our cars. We do not have to do it walking down the street. We need to take pride in our own area. You cannot do this by yourself. You can do all the things that you say you're going to do, but if the people don't participate, then what you be doing is being done for not on that, making it a beautiful city. I'm not talking about building and stuff like that. But I do feel very strongly that you're going to win this race, and I'm in your camp. I'm going to help you what I can do. I am 80 years old. I can't do the payment anymore. Jim Anderson told me I could run up and down the street, but I'm 80 now, and I can't do it. I do what I can do. So I wish you very well, and we're going to win.
Thank you so much. And to your point, I think we need someone who's going to set the example, right? When I was running for mayor, I I walked past a gentleman in a car, and he was like cleaning out his car, but he was just putting the trash on the floor. And I said, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Pick that up." And he looked at me. He said, "Oh, you're the lady running for mayor." And I said, "I am." And he picked up the trash. But I mean, accountability doesn't only come from the people to our elected officials. It comes to us as neighbors, one to another. I think that we really have to reestablish our village. And when we see somebody doing something wrong, tell them about it. Do it in love, but make it be unacceptable for folks to treat our community in this way. And the other thing that is very simple: put some trash cans out. So people have a place to put their refuse. So just easy things like that. But I appreciate your support and your comments, and thank you so much.
Eula, that was beautiful. And I just wanted to say she is beautiful like you, and got that forward pushing spirit that won't let nobody sit them down. Yeah, that was a nice call. Thank you.
I just want to comment on something. Oh, we have another caller. Actually, my bad. I'm not commenting. Go ahead. We have another caller. Caller, you are on the air. Hello?
Hello?
Hi, we can hear you. You can go ahead.
Okay. Yes, good morning to all of you. And thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome.
And what my call and concern is the redistricting of Madison. How does the candidate feel that it would affect the turnout if folks find out when they get to the polls that they are no longer in Madison and that they're in Alabama?
Yeah, that's a good question.
And, that's the concern of mine. I'm a product of Madison district. I grew up in in the 60s was her family, and I know what Jefferson was, and I know what the surrounding communities were. And we didn't have to leave our home or in our neighborhood to get anything. We used to go to the corner store and get Keystone for heaven's sake in a bag off. And things have totally changed. The east side of Walton, not just Manchester, looks like a war zone.
Indeed. Let us try and tackle that question you have. Let us, and I hate to cut you short, but let us try and tackle that question because the lines are filling up and we run. Thank you. And do call back again. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. And I love you, Deborah. Thank you for the question. It's a good one. I think that I want folks to know that early voting actually starts on the 17th. So before you go to the parade, you can stop by any of the early voting locations in Erie County. You give them your name and they'll print the ballot that's appropriate for your district. And, you know, we've been doing a lot of education on doors because we're knocking doors where people thought that they were in university and now they're in Maston. Or, you know, I have people who are asking me for lawn signs who are actually no longer in Maston, but they're in Ellicott District. So I think that the important thing is that we continue to talk to one another about how the redistricting process has affected neighborhoods and voting. But I'm encouraging folks to get out and vote early from the 17th until the 25th. You can cast your vote at any early polling place in Erie County, and they will print out the ballot that is appropriate for you so that you're not being turned away on Election Day, which is June 27th. So, yeah, that would be my best advice.
You got it.
So that was a good question as well. The thing I wanted to touch on was something that I think from the younger perspective, and the last caller talked about it. You grew up in the 60s, 70s, you saw the greatness that Buffalo was. But for the younger people, if you don't know what a good community looks like, I'd behoove you to go out and see other communities.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of my friends, my age, who have never really left their neighborhood. And so when we drive around and they see, like you mentioned, oh, they have a pool and we don't, when some people don't even know that a pool is supposed to be in the community. Some people don't know what a real park, a real walkable community looks like. Some people don't know what a real thriving and economic community looks like. So I'd really behoove some people who think that where you're living is great. Go a little higher, go a little north, and just check out how other people are living, how some communities feel like communities, where it feels like I'm in a place where everybody, when they drive through, has a car trash tank, so they want to throw trash in the ground. Everybody creates a community that we want to live in. I think we have an idea, especially as young people, that we're supposed to get rich and move out. But why not create a place for the next generation or for the people that are here where you don't have to move out? You can choose so, where you don't have to.
Mm-hmm.
But that only happens, I think, through the education and realization that this is not how it has to be. And so I just want to push that, because I think the things you're talking about for a lot of people may not be pain points. They may not be triggering points because they've never seen different.
Right.
If you've never seen different, a lot of times it goes back to the old analogy. If you've never seen, bad, you're not really good. You're just innocent. Right. So we don't even know how bad the community is because we haven't had anything to model it to. And so if you get a chance, if you really don't understand why it's so pressing to make change, just go drive around, and every time you see something that you want, say, I want that. And know that you can get it if you truly talk and hold the politicians in office accountable. Is that a good suggestion or a good understanding for a lot of people to have?
Absolutely. And being a person who, traveled the country and the world, what we are facing in Buffalo is not unusual, but it's not right. And there are communities where it's walkable, where there is quality, affordable housing, where there's a grocery store in walking distance, right? And I mean, those communities exist locally, right? Amherst is always on the top of the list of the safest communities. Mm-hmm. Why is it that Buffalo is not, right? And I keep telling people that it's about resources, and it's about how we allocate them. Budgets are moral documents. And I know before somebody says it, the Common Council does not develop the budget, the mayor does, but the Common Council members can meet with department heads and make recommendations to the budget before it comes before them to be voted on, right? Again, proactive steps. When I was running for mayor, I found out that we're leaving so much money on the table. We hadn't had a well-functioning grants department in City Hall for a long time. There's federal and foundation grants that we can be bringing into the city to help solve some of these problems. When I was in the Fruit Belt, I wrote a grant. The state attorney general was giving millions of dollars to organizations to establish land trusts, but you needed the support of the municipality. So the money that Rochester got, Buffalo didn't get because we got the door shut in our face. So when you have allies in City Hall who want to see change, when it's not just enough for me and my family to be okay, but my family is the Buffalo community, to want to make sure that each and every one of us has access to resources and pools and recreation and housing and quality jobs and union membership and all of those things. To have a person who has that mindset is going to be critical to how we establish a future for our young people who are going to want to stay because they see success in the future here. And the brain drain that's been occurring in Buffalo is not new to just this generation. Because when I was coming up, if you were successful, you graduated high school, went away to college, and never looked back. And I chose to stay because I have an assignment. I know how wonderful Buffalo is. A festival every weekend in the summer, right on the water. The people, the city of good neighbors, they don't call it that for nothing. But we have to be good neighbors one to another and really push the envelope and be visionary and bold and not take no for an answer. And that's what I intend to do.
I think that's a great message. I think that resonates with a lot of Buffalonians. I'd be amiss to hear all this support from the community and from us and not give you a chance to give you the support that you're trying to give the community. So what are ways that listeners that are enjoying your message, that agree with your platform, can not only support you, but when we talk about the election and the running, how can we get involved, and what date should we have in our calendar to best show the same things that we're talking about?
Absolutely. There's so many ways to get involved, no matter what your skill or ability level is. We're knocking doors every single day, getting the word out to let people know there is an election happening. Again, early voting starts June 17th. Election day is June 27th. If you don't know what district you're in or where your polling place is, contact the Board of Elections and find out. Thank you, Danielle, for that tip, because I sort of slipped my mind. If you want to support financially in order to reach voters, we put out radio ads and mailers and things like that, and those things cost money. I'm currently being out fundraised about by 3 to 1. And like I said, that reason is because I don't take money from large corporations or developers. All of my money is from the grassroots level. I'm bringing in 10, 20 bucks at a time. No amount is too small. Go to www.indiawalton.com. Follow me on social media. And also our campaign office is open every single weekday from 2 to 7. Come out, grab you a t-shirt, go knock some doors, talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends. Make this an issue and make sure that we all turn out to vote, each and every one of us.
Wow, that's a wrap.
That's
You close us out, right? We both want to thank you, Andy. I'm going to say mine. Austin's going to say his. But for me, you always light it up with the truth, and you're always on the front line in community. We can do this. We have to support India Walton as the council person for the Maston District. Yeah, call your cousin, tell your friends.
I just want to say it's my second time getting to meet you. I got to meet you at another event at Nichols a year back, but I want to say it's great hearing somebody who's willing to do it grassroots, do it the way that it needs to be done, hear the community and work their way up the ladder to truly make sure they're making a change that not only is impactful, but that it's impactful in the right places. So it's great to talk to you. It's great to hear somebody that's actually in the community, foot on the ground. I think that's something that we've lost with our politicians, is a touch, an ear to the streets. And hearing someone have that is very exciting as a youth, to see where the government that we talk about so much as failing can maybe someday really turn around and start actually helping the people that it governs. So it's been great to interview. It's been a pleasure. And I think that's about all.
Yeah, because you talk to the future in the past. There's a call. There's a call. No, we're out. I'm sorry, caller. Call us early next time. Have a great day. India Walton.